stand by. We'll be ready to go here in just a little bit. Just taking care of one or two last minute things as producer, director, and everything else that I do for this show. And welcome to our somewhat over 500th show that we have done. Again, for the time being, we do have quite a few on the record books, so hopefully, again, that will stick around for a while anyway. We'll talk more about the forecast. Had a lot to do last minute, so we're on a little bit late, but that's okay, and we will get things going here for the rest of the evening, and here we go. All right, welcome to the show, everybody. It is Tuesday. Had a bit of a glitch with the graphics here, and we're on a little bit later thanks to the fact that we had some late information come down from the National Hurricane Center. If you've never joined us here before, again, this is Weather Overtime, our online video weather blog available for you, the viewer, to know more about what's going on in the News 12 viewing area and beyond. So we'll keep you updated as to what is happening. Again, if you're just tuning in, we have had some and more information added from the National Hurricane Center. It's gotten very busy on both coastlines. Nothing imminent, but it does definitely bear watching, and that's why we're bringing this to you. If you have questions about the forecast, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, and we're on again, Facebook. So thanks to everybody for tuning in, and thanks to Epicos Comics Cards and Games for being our sponsor here on Weather Overtime. For the beginning into what we're talking about tonight, weather for school in the morning and the afternoon, some patchy fog out there, mainly partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies early, not cool, temperatures back in the mid-70s, pushing 90 by lunchtime. It's going to warm up very quickly, and then as we get into the afternoon period, as everybody heads home from school, that's where we see the best potential of showers and thunderstorms. So may want to pack the umbrella for a little bit later on just to be on the safe side. Heading out to take some pictures, please let us see what you're seeing out there. Excuse me, the view from the area around Mullins Cove. Thank you very much, News 12 viewer Celeste Dobbins, for a beautiful view of a rainbow around the Whitwell area. And again, thank you very much for that particular picture. If you've got pictures, we'd love to see what you're seeing out there, so please give us a shout. The easiest way to do it is to go to our website, WDEF.com/photos. And if you have the opportunity, again, you can drop into our social media pages in the comments section. You can do that, but they have a tendency to get lost every once in a while. And email, that's another good way to get them to us at pictures@WDEF.com. Our staff here will process those and send them along to us. So please give us a shout and let us know more about what you're seeing across the area. It's quiet tonight. You're looking at the North Shore, the waters of the Tennessee River flowing on through. The footbridge still under repair, expected to open here hopefully within about the next few months, and a few folks out and about enjoying the fairly humid conditions out across the area. But again, for right now, we're not seeing a lot of problems. Temperatures are a little bit better than what we've seen in the last couple of nights. We dropped off thanks to the clouds and the rainfall, taking us into the 80s rather than keeping us in the 90s. So numbers have not been quite as terrible as they have been into the early evening hours. We do still have a decent amount of wildfire smoke, excuse me, and every single red dot that you see on here, this is a brand new fire as evidenced by the Beers satellite recording system, and that gives us a good idea as to where the hot spots are being detected from orbit, and that can help wildfire agencies and agricultural agencies do a good job of keeping an eye on what exactly is going on and to help us find and identify and keep those fires under control and before they become a threat to property or well-being to anybody out there. So good news again for right now that yesterday the amount of smoke that we saw is not really around the area, so we've cleared out at least a little bit, and that does help but we're not quite done with everything just yet. Chattanooga Allergy Clinic still reporting mold spores at the high level, tree pollen, grass, and weed pollen at the lower levels at this time. So allergen levels not doing totally terrible. And when it comes to the air quality in general, yellow or moderate, not bad, fairly low on the particle pollution and the gases pollution. Carbon monoxide down or just a little bit to 192. Again, that sounds a little bit too high, but again, remember we're measuring gases in parts per billion. So it's a little bit on the higher side compared to everything else, but it is not a threat at this point. Ozone down a little bit, so again, not bad there, and nowhere near where we were about a month and a half ago. So good news on the air quality there. We now have a severe thunderstorm watch that has been posted just north of the News 12 viewing area. Loudon, Rome, Blunt, severe up toward Knox, Tennessee, as thunderstorms roll on through that particular area. This is actually what was left of what is called a derecho storm that blasted through Ohio, Kentucky, into and around portions of Indiana, picking up these blasts of widespread winds. It's not what it once was, but there are still some severe thunderstorm warnings, or at least there were until a little while ago, but thunderstorms reforming around the Knoxville area, and that severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect until 2 o'clock Eastern time. Now what we have is, again, just a few thunderstorms redeveloping around and on either side of I-75 back toward the area close to Athens. Looks like around Meigs and McMinn County, getting some rumbles of thunder there. Southern Bledsoe County, northern Sequatchie County picking up some showers and some isolated lightning. Nothing close to the Chattanooga area proper, but we still could see, again, some rumbles of thunder taking place as the remnant energy of that storm system makes its way a little bit closer to us. So I would not be surprised to see too much going on there. Northeast Alabama and back into northwest Georgia, nothing going on at this point, so we don't have anything even the way of rainfall here. So everything is north of the area, north of the Tennessee line, I should say. That's going to make its way into western North Carolina here relatively soon, and that could be some problems out there on the roadways. So we could be looking at some potential problems for travelers if you're going to be out and about driving for later on tonight. Going out to the big picture, things are just about where they were. That area of high pressure you see out, way out into the Atlantic, that's called the Bermuda High, and that is, again, with circulation clockwise, that is moving moisture-rich air off the Bahamas, the Caribbean, the Gulf, with this area of high pressure acting like a giant conveyor belt, and that is moving hot air off of Mexico, moisture-rich air off the Gulf itself. And that's why, if you take a look back to the north, we have a stationary front. This was trying to move southward, but it's being buffered back by a bunch of this hot air making its way through. And that is going to be, in a nutshell, what we're expecting for the next several days. So if you're looking for cooler weather, you're not going to find it here, because that's not going to be happening. High pressure is going to billow that hot air well back up to our north across the area. Lows in the 70s and 80s across the southeast United States. Highs in the high 90s to the triple digits, and that's just the air temperature. And then we go into the end of the week. Going to be a hot finish to the week as well. High 90s expected here. And into the weekend, that warm front pushes all the way to the north. We're going to try to get this system to get a little closer to us, but it doesn't look like it's going to make it anytime soon. The computer models not in good agreement at bringing us anything in the way of relief from this hot weather that we see over the area for right now. So we're just not picking up much of anything out there that's really going to be helping us anytime soon. Welcome to everybody tuning in on Twitch and YouTube tonight. Thanks for joining us. We still have, according to the Storm Prediction Center, a 1 out of 5 marginal threat of severe weather in the dark green shaded category. The best potential will be up into around northeast Tennessee, Bristol, Johnson City, Morristown, up into Kentucky, over into Virginia, and extreme northwestern North Carolina. That'll be a 2 out of 5 slight risk category. And then tomorrow, the threat returns to the area as a marginal threat, but then back up between St. Louis, Indianapolis, north of Paducah and the Ohio River Valley. That'll be a 2 out of 5 slight risk category. We will see the best potential of anything involving severe weather, mainly in the form of damaging wind gusts. That'll be possible. It's not likely, but it is possible. Add to that, there's the potential of flash flooding from any of these storms tonight as storms one after the other roll over the same area, dropping rain, moving on. Another storm comes in, drops the rain, moves on. Lather, rinse, repeat, and that's where we get the threat for possible flash flooding across the area. And that threat will stick around and increase into tomorrow. 2 out of 4 possibility of flash flooding. Cleveland, Athens, Knoxville, up toward I-40. That's where we could see the worst of the worst activity. And then the threat pretty much moves on back to the north, and we don't see much of any other threat coming our way for the next several days. As the chances of rain become more sporadic and spread out, then we're going to see less rain, more sunshine, and that means more heat. And the 7-day forecast is going to be a roasty one, to say the least, out there. This is the new information that I was talking about at the beginning, to where we now have, we didn't have anything on the maps for like a month and a half, pretty much. Occasionally, yeah, but not altogether. And then in the last about 48 hours from Saturday, Sunday onwards, we have now picked up 3 disturbances, which not altogether atypical. That can happen to where it gets very quiet for a long period of time. If you remember the 1992 season, prior to Andrew slicing across the Atlantic, there wasn't much of anything going on until bang, Andrew happened to be knocking at our door. Now we have 3 systems going on in least to worst potential. Number 3 just popped onto the map off the Sahel in Africa. This one has a 10 to 20% possibility of developing as it moves to the west. We still have a fairly tightly wound disturbance over the northwest Atlantic moving out into the colder waters. 40% chance of development here. Not great, but better than what it once was. And then we have the red polygon. That is our number 1 disturbance, and that shows the best sign of anything developing coming up in the near future. So we do have some potential out there for activity. Now, more than likely, what happens with the winds, the way they are over the Atlantic, and remember we talked about that area of high pressure over parts of the Atlantic. If these things latch into that, they're going to go to the west for the next several days, but then with that area of high pressure sticking around, we do see the possibility of these systems curving up and back over the colder waters. Now, whether or not that happens, that is still way out in the distance when you consider time. But for right now, any beach vacations, I would be watching both of these very carefully, just in case. Again, they're not organized enough to have a designation. They're not strong enough to have gotten a name yet. But again, it is necessary for us to make certain that we do pay attention to what is going on. Now, that's the Atlantic. Busy enough as it is, we have even more activity going on in the Pacific. We have 2 storm systems. The one on the left, this one that's closest to the Hawaiian Islands, this one is showing the best possibility of any possible development chances, and this is now organized enough, just enough of a swirl right there to get it a designation. An area of investigation is nicknamed an invest. So invest number 93C, for again being in the central part of the Pacific for the most part. This one stands a pretty good chance of aiming toward Hawaii, at least brushing by it with winds and possible rainfall. Could be, again, as this approaches, some fairly inclement weather. There's no sign of this becoming a tropical storm yet, but with a 90% chance in the next week, there is some pretty good concern that this is going to be a problem for Hawaii. Right now, it doesn't look like a Hurricane Iniki, but this definitely bears watching, as Hawaii can get hit by these storms and get hit very hard. So that's something we need to watch. Following on the heels of Invest 93C is a second disturbance. This one a little less potential, but it is still the potential of about a 70% possibility of development. So we do have two systems out there that may be a bit of a concern in the next several days. Now, the question is probably being asked in some quarters by those viewing out there. This has nothing to do with us in the News 12 viewing area, so why waste anybody's time talking about it? Well, because number one, it's weather. Number two, it is hurricane season, and people who are heading into an area that could be affected by this storm, I would prefer to know about this before things happen or before I got on that very long flight to Hawaii, to be able to make certain that I know what that might be a problem before I set foot on the island. This is not to discourage anybody. This is not to panic anybody. We do not hype the weather. The weather gets bad enough as it is. So anybody out there who wants to accuse me of hyping the weather, like the Fox station did back in Memphis, we don't do that. I don't do that. I have never done that. This is to let you, the viewer, know more about what is happening for your benefit, so you can tell what's going on if you are heading that way, or you might know somebody in that general area who might want to know about this. So something to take a look at and something to pay attention to over the next few days. We'll keep you updated on this on the next several days as we go forward with this. Couple of things to talk about here for the Sky Blog. Number one, the moon is going toward new tonight into tomorrow. That's important because tomorrow is going to be a total solar eclipse where the moon passes in front of the sun, and that in some of the world will be an amazing view, but not here. It'll be happening around parts of the Mediterranean, Europe, and up around Scandinavia and the North Sea, the North Atlantic. In that area, we will not see that. But the practical upshot for us is that when the moon is new, very close to the sun, the reflected light when the moon is full can drown out meteors. And this is one of the biggest meteor showers of the year. We're expecting a peak of 100 meteors. That's, again, not a meteor storm, but it is about a meteor and a half every minute, and that's pretty active. So that's kind of neat to be able to see this. It comes out of the northeast from the constellation of Perseus the Hero, and again, about 100 meteors per hour. The peak is going to be happening tomorrow night, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That is going to be very cool to stay up late and take a look at all that activity going on. Right now, maybe some cloud cover, about 30%, but it does seem to be giving us, again, hopefully some clear enough skies to be able to get a good seeing rate. Now, because of this, excuse me again, the local Barnard Astronomical Society will be holding a meteor shower watch party at McCoy Farm and Gardens. That's on Signal Mountain off of Taft Highway. It starts at about 8 o'clock in the evening, and Barnard Astronomical is asking you to get there as early as possible when the meteor shower party opens, to reserve your spot and to get comfortable and wait for, again, more meteors that are going to be happening up there. If you'd like to know more about this and to ask questions of anybody, website is barnardastronomy.com. I'm not going to be able to be there, but hopefully a lot of other folks are, so they can take a look and see some of those meteors. Up on Signal Mountain, if you're up even that high, you're down below the thicker air and the haze of the Tennessee River Valley. So even that amount of elevation could give you a much clearer view, especially looking back toward the east, where Perseus will be rising very early on late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. So that could be, again, some very good opportunities to take a look and see what is going on with going outside. A few clouds drifting on through and a little bit of lightning showing up. You can see some of those flashes fairly close to the area as some of that activity gets a little bit closer to us on the Island Cove Marina and Resort camera. Temperatures over the next few days, I wish I had some better news, but really just not that much available at this time. Heat advisory continues. Temperatures will be ascending into the high 90s, pushing 100 by the time we work our way into next week. Maybe some thunderstorms again, but no flash flood risk on Thursday. Happy Left-Handers Day to all the Southpaws out there, and National Tell a Joke Day on Sunday. Hopefully your comedy routine will be in the shade or in some air conditioning, because it is going to be blazing hot out there into the next several days. So if you have air conditioning problems, as I did at my apartment complex a few weeks ago, hopefully you get those taken care of in very short order, because you're going to need some type of relief out there as we get into the middle part of August. Pretty typical for this time of the year. Now, whether or not we make all the way up there into that hot weather, we'll see how well that goes into the next couple of days. So stay tuned for more on that with News 12, and we'll keep you advised on all of that. Weather question of the day, brought to you by Williams Plumbing Services. The 90%, the majority of all hurricane deaths result from what? Lightning, the storm winds, throwing debris around, or storm surge. And 67% of you chose the correct answer, storm surge. If you've ever taken a drink out of a straw, you lower the air pressure inside your mouth and your lungs, and the outside air pressure pushes the liquid up the straw into your mouth so you can drink. That's a physics fact that has really blown the minds of a lot of elementary and middle school students when they find out that you don't suck the liquid up, you allow air pressure to push it up, and therefore you can drink. Well, the same thing happens in a hurricane, where you have an area of low pressure, and as you have that, the waters underneath stir upwards and rise as that area of low pressure moves along, and then as that area of low pressure devolves and falls apart, that flood of waters that piles up under that area of low pressure collapses and spreads out. But it's that storm surge that helps to kill 90% of people from drowning or being washed out to sea. So that, again, is your question of the day. We'll have a new poll going up at midnight. If you'd like to vote, use the QR code, or again, go to our website, WDEF.com/vote now, to find out more details about what is coming your direction. That should do it for tonight. Very quiet across the area, and again, hopefully we stay decently quiet. No imminent threat from the tropics, no imminent threat from severe weather, but we could be looking again at the potential of some more problems out there. Let's go to radar real quick once again and just take a look at what's going on across the area. What we're seeing at this point, Chattanooga and Hamilton County down here in the lower portion of your screen, and we're watching some pretty good thunderstorms out on the horizon toward Knoxville and over toward Gatlinburg, but also a line of storms developing north of Chattanooga up toward around the I-40 area, and those have just popped into existence since we've been talking here basically for about the last half an hour, give or take. So we do have the potential of more areas of showers and thunderstorms redeveloping across portions of the area. We'll continue to monitor for that. I doubt we're going to see any severe weather, and if the National Weather Service has not issued any new severe thunderstorm watch this far south as of right now, it doesn't seem like they're going to do anything about that, but that could change. So we'll have an update on what we're looking for coming up on News 12 at 11. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm watch for Roane, Loudoun, Blount, Sevier, Jefferson, Knox, Anderson, and Morgan counties in Tennessee, but those are just to outside the News 12 viewing area counties. Again, up around Monroe, Meigs, McMinn, and Ray counties. We're not seeing any tornado watches or severe thunderstorm watches at this point as we finish things up at about 10:15 or so. So not much of anything happening for right now. That should do it for this evening. We'll go ahead and send it back to your regular Tuesday evening programming. Again, if you have any questions or anything you want to ask, drop them into the comments section, Onek at WDEF WDEF-TV.com. And thanks to everybody for tuning in on Twitch, YouTube, and of course on Facebook. Chip Chapman will have more on his forecast coming up bright and early on the morning show Wednesday starting at 5 a.m. So stay tuned for more there. And of course, I'll have more details on the very hot forecast over the course of the next couple of days. Thanks for joining us on News 12. Again, if you'd like to watch more about what's going on, join us on our website, WDEF.com. Thanks for joining us on Tuesday night.